Hey, Sam.
Hi, Bev. How's it going?
It's going very, very nicely.
At first, I thought you were gonna say something like, it's going. And then I was like, oh, the plot thickens. But then you were just like, nicely. And I'm like, oh, it does not thicken.
Yeah, I was just thinking, I gotta work on our intro. There's gotta be a way to, get into this better. I don't know, welcome to us
Ew,
drinking
no.
and.
That's just not very authentic. Although, if we were in person, I don't think I'd be like, hey, Bev. I don't know. But I mean, maybe as we get into this further and people just automatically start recognizing our names, we won't have to do that. Maybe.
Oh, yeah.
Because,
Maybe.
you know,
I feel like I started sort of like a phone
yeah.
conversation. Like, hey.
But I feel like at this point, with how much I feel like I know you, I'd be like, hey, bitch, what's up? But I'm not going to start the podcast like that. And I'd need bitch in like the most loving way possible. Or maybe batch instead of bitch. I don't know.
Oh,
I don't
yeah.
know.
Is that spelled with an E?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
Brittany Betch?
Yeah.
That's how you say that, right? Okay.
Yeah. It's less offensive, I think. Maybe. Maybe not. I don't really know.
Oh, that totally makes sense. So, what are you drinking today, Sam?
So I am drinking a Pinot Grigio from the Columbia Valley called Presley. And it's weird because like the label is just plain and white and not normally something I would probably buy, but it's cellared and bottled by Splendid Cellars in Woodinville, Washington. So it's a local, and by local I mean U.S. wine. Actually, I've been drinking a lot of wines from the Washington State area over the past couple of years. Or the past couple of years, Jesus, it's like I already drank a whole bottle. I don't even know what I'm talking about right now. Like in the past year, but this one's pretty good. I wanted something not like super duper fruity, but something lighter since it's been so warm out lately. And this one had a screw top, so it won. Kind of following your logic last week.
Yes.
Yes.
The screw tops always win.
And it's like I totally had time to use my electric corkscrew, but I was just feeling so lazy and it seemed like too much for, recording on a Monday.
Isn't using an electric wine opener just like a screw top?
It takes longer.
Or is it a little
It
more
probably takes
complicated
like
than
three
that?
seconds longer.
Oh. Those 3 seconds are precious. We cannot lose those 3 seconds.
I was just like really not feeling any kind of manual labor, and that's not even manual labor because it's just I push a button. Oh boy. So
Oh man.
on that note, what are you drinking?
So I am drinking the Heller High Watermelon by 21st Amendment Brewing, which is the same one that I shared I'd be drinking while we record. Because I've been using this as my chore
Ooh.
beer lately, because it's a great light beer for right after you do all your farm chores while it's so freaking hot. Because we skipped spring here, so
Yes. I've been calling it Sprummer because it's been
oh, I like
like
that.
60 degrees, but then 80 degrees, and then back down to like 60, and then up to 70, and then back down to 50. So it's better than snow,
Yes.
so I'll take it. But yes, I was calling it Sprummer this weekend.
Sprummer, I like that. That's definitely a good way to describe it. Yeah, we're supposed to be in
Yes.
mid 80s this week, which is like dog days of summer
Ooh.
here. It doesn't normally get that hot here. At least not this early.
And like compared to Arizona, like
Well, okay. It's a lot cooler than Arizona, but one of the things that happens to you when you leave a place that has such weather extremes like that is you acclimate super quickly. Like, I don't think I can ever get off a plane when it's 115 degrees in Arizona. I would melt right away. I'm pretty sure I would just catch on fire and die. And I lived that way for, I mean, decades because where I grew up in California was the exact same weather.
oh,
So it's not like it was any cooler there. Yeah, so I've always lived somewhere where it was ridiculously hot during the summertime. And once I spent one summer here and I had to go back to Arizona, I was like, oh, oh no, this is really hard to get back used to. And then you spend a few months and then like
Ugh.
finally you're like, all right, 100 feels
Yeah.
cool now because it's not
Yeah.
115. Yeah, nope, I don't think I could do it anymore. Now 86 is like super hot to me. 90s is pushing it. I'm
Yeah.
gonna be inside all day when it's 90 degrees outside. I'm positive.
Someone commented on my Chicken Selfie Sunday post and said it was 105 and it was Hen Stefani. And I like clicked on her. I was like, where the hell does she live? And she lives in Arizona.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's the only place where it gets that hot in the United States that I know of. I mean, Florida gets really warm also, but they just have the really high humidity, so I don't think they get the super high temps like that.
Mm,
It just feels super hot because, it's like 100% humidity. Texas gets pretty hot too. I'm sure somebody in Texas will write us and tell us what the temperature was this
yes.
week there.
Hot as
Yeah, because
balls.
that's also desert. But yeah.
Ugh.
So we have to thank one of our Patreon contributors for our drinks today. This is the first episode we're recording where we have a Patreon sponsor for our drinks. So we have to give a huge shout out to Ashley Kiernan for buying our drinks today. Cheers, lady.
Yeah, yeah, no kidding. Thank you so much. It it kind of blew my mind that we actually had somebody take us up on that offer. So you're kind of a badass, Ashley. So thank you.
Yes.
Thank you very much. That's funny because that's what Elvis said, and my wine that I'm drinking is Presley. Oh, goodness. Next thing you know, I'll be like swinging my hips and my like microphone is just gonna grip right out of my head. And yeah, try to stay seated during the podcast.
I don't know. I don't know if anybody can stay seated during our podcast.
I mean, yeah, I try to. Just so, you don't. Yeah. I feel like my luck, if I tried to get up and walk with my laptop while we were recording, I would trip over the coffee table and then like bust my face open. So,
Yeah, and that would make for a really terrible podcast. I don't think anybody wants to hear that.
no, I don't think the show could go on.
So, if you rent a car in Southern Ohio and it smells like goats, I'm sorry. That would be my fault because I've had a rental car ever since the accident
Oh.
happened. And I just finally returned it today, which is a super unfortunate story, a different super unfortunate story. My insurance company made me return it, but I do not have a new car
Mm,
yet, and I do not have a
that's
check from them
cute.
yet. So that's a rant for another day.
Mm.
But one of the things, yeah, right. One of the things that I had to do though, while I didn't have my car anymore, was go pick up my new goats. So we have two new goats now at Rosser's farm,
Ooh.
which makes the total five, which means my goat math is going up like super fast. And I had to go pick them up from like the Dayton area, which is about 2 hours from where I'm at. So the rental car was what we had to go do it in because our other car is a pickup truck
Mm,
and it does have a back seat in it, but it's not deep enough for like a big crate like that to go. And our pickup truck is pretty old, so I didn't want to drive it all the way to Dayton if I didn't have to, since I had like a newer, more comfortable car to take to Dayton. So I was like, yeah, rental car is totally where it's at. But I wasn't going to put goats in the back of a pickup truck for 2 hours
no,
either.
not babies.
Because it sounds
Yeah.
kind of mean. Yeah, not babies. Yeah, maybe like full adults for like shorter trips. Yeah, but so they had to ride in my rental car
Mhm.
all the way back from Dayton, and they had a grand old time in there. They were mostly yelling at me because, they're a little older now. I think they're 9 weeks now. Maybe
Okay.
they're closer to 10 weeks. So they're totally weaned now. They were ready to leave mom, but they were dam raised. So they were not super pleased with me for coming and getting them and taking them away from their mom. So I got to hear about that a whole lot on the way
Oh
home.
yeah.
And then when we got home, we opened the back. I went and got them on my own, and my husband came out to help me get them in the barn. He's like, "So, how should we get these guys in the barn?" And I was like, "Well, like they've been in that crate for a long time, so maybe we should let them out, so that they can like get a little fresh air, and then we'll move them over to the barn." And I let them out, and these goats do not follow me like my goats do.
Nope.
So we spent like 30 minutes running around the garage trying to get them out from under the truck and the utility vehicle and get them out. And we finally did get them over to the barn. It took leashes and collars. I would like sneak up behind one and like I snapped a collar on it and then it'd go like bounding the other direction. I'm like, all right, one piece is done. Now we just need to like get something clipped to that collar so that we can like have them under control because they got hooves. So and they're big because they're mama
Mm-hmm.
raised. So they're a lot bigger than my bottle baby goats, even though they're close to the same age. So I was a little scared of them because I'm like, I'm gonna like sneak up on them and grab them, and they're gonna hoof me in the face. And this is gonna be super hard. I mean, not that my face is like my money maker or anything,
It's
but
still your face, and it wouldn't feel great.
yeah, no, it would be super painful. So we did eventually get them in the barn. And then my 6-year-old got home from school and was really excited to go meet the new goats. And she went out there and opened the barn door and
Oh
they got out of their
no.
stall. So we had to spend another 30 minutes running around the barn and all of the woodworking equipment and the boat and like everything else that's in the barn
Mm.
trying to get them. And my husband looked at me and he's like, I told you I didn't want any damn raised goats. I was like, well, I didn't know that they were going to be this
Too
scared of
late.
us. Too late. Well, they're here, so now we have to get them back to safety so that they don't get caught, on like one of the various pieces of
Right.
equipment in here. But now it's been several days and things have calmed down quite a bit. So they were very rightly so terrified of all of
Aw.
us for the first couple of days. But what I keep doing is I just go in there and when I bottle feed the other ones, we all just stay together and they've started like coming up and like they'll nudge me a little bit. I had one sort of like put her hooves up on my lap,
Aw.
but she didn't climb on my lap. And they'll eat some sweet feed out of my hand. I did finally give in and go buy some sweet feed because that's what these goats liked. And I was like, all right, I'll go buy some sweet feed. Then everybody can be happy with me and it'll be just like a fun treat. So we're not feeding a ton of it. But like a few handfuls at night to let everybody know that we're not terrifying.
Right. Yeah, you gotta bribe them a little bit.
Yeah, goats need bribing. And so these are my goats like first treats. So they're like, "Oh my goodness, like, what is this? This is like the greatest thing ever."
Aw.
Yeah, and they all seem to be getting along really well. We're not to the point where we can let them out of the barn stall yet. So everybody's staying in the barn stall together and I just go in there and spend time with them like as much as I can every
Oh, for
day
sure.
and they'll warm up eventually and then we'll be good. I don't know if they'll ever be like following me quite like our other goats follow me, but maybe someday. Right now it doesn't feel like that.
Oh, they'll get there. Yeah, because when we got Cal and Diana, Diana was actually dam raised, and like the person I got him from, she was like, "Oh, she's friendly, but she's not as like affectionate as the boy, blah blah blah." But she's like the most affectionate out of the five goats. Aside, well, out of four goats, Loki's
Oh.
probably the most affectionate because well, he was in the house with us
Yeah.
for like six,
Yeah.
7 weeks. So
Loki thinks he's a people.
exactly. Yes. And Loki, like, he met my mom this weekend and he was even like all over her. So he just likes humans. But Diana, yeah,
Yeah.
she's like a puppy almost. Like, she just really enjoys people. So you'll get there. They just, they were probably sad because they're away from mom now and they're not in the same place and it smells
Yeah.
weird and there's these other goats. Gets stressful.
Oh, and Tonks is like trying so hard to be like head goat,
Oh.
but these two are so much bigger than her. It's like not even funny. I'm like, Tonks, you gotta stop headbutting them. Like, you can't move them. Like, they're so much bigger than you. And they're giving it back to her, which is fine. Because, like, they gotta sort out their goat pecking order thing. Because they have one of those too, just
Yeah.
like the chickens do.
Yeah, Loki, he's obviously still so small compared to the other ones, especially Cal and Diana that we got from somebody else after they're like almost a year old. He tries so hard. And he like just all day long headbutts them and then he's like humping the boys in the face and just trying to assert his dominance so hard. But he's like separated most of the time. He can still see them, but they're not in together 24/7 because he still has his man balls, goat balls.
Yep. Are you gonna keep
So,
those? Have you decided yet?
um, I feel like I want to, but I'm still like the husband hasn't said like go get them fixed. So, but
Yeah.
he hasn't said no, we'll try to do the babies thing because he's just nervous. Like anytime we do anything new, he's just really nervous and feels like he needs to know everything before he goes ahead and does it. But like in the farm world, there's a difference between knowing everything and being prepared. Like the only way you're going to know everything is if you've actually been through the experience, whether it's with somebody else, like somebody that is more experienced and you've been there and seen it, or helped or whatever. Like I think he's just nervous about like what to do if you need to help the doe give birth or what happens if you lose the doe, and like that's just the realities of farm life. But I'm like, hey, if the girls can punch out a couple of goats, even pet quality ones, like that can pay for feed for quite a long time. So I think he's coming around to the idea quite fast.
Yeah. And one of my biggest lessons, like in my small toe dipping of farm life that I've done so far, I feel like I'm pretty proud of what we've accomplished here in a year. Sometimes when I look back at it, I'm just like totally blown away. But there are things that like you can read all day long, and until you've really
Right.
experienced it, like there's just no really describing that. I don't know how else to say it. Because, and one other thing too is like when you read too many things and you get the idea in your head that without like the hands-on, that you know what you're doing, I feel like that's when I make the most mistakes when I think that. So I try to always like, no matter how much I've read or learned, I try to approach it like as if what I'm thinking or what I'm feeling might not necessarily be the thing that you're supposed to
Yeah.
do. I might be
No,
wrong
I'm
about
with you
it.
there.
That way, I don't like dive full in and make like a huge, like overblown mistake. I'm struggling with that right now with our or not with our duck eggs. You have duck eggs. With my chicken eggs, I'm like 99% sure that they're not
Oh
viable,
no.
but I can't tell. Like I have no idea. I've candled them and they are getting bigger in there, but we're on like day 14 now and I feel like there's still just too much space inside the shell.
Oh,
But I
yeah,
have no
it's
idea.
probably fine, honestly. Like, I feel like,
Is it? Okay.
yeah, day 18 is usually when you do lockdown. And it just might be
Yeah.
like, I feel like every hatch is a little different. And like, because we've done quite a few, but I feel like they're all different. Sometimes ones that you think quit, especially right before lockdown, they end up being the first ones to hatch. So they might just surprise you, but I would be shocked if like none of them hatched. That would be crazy because I mean, you got them from somebody else, but it wasn't like they were shipped in the mail and jostled around.
Yeah, that's what I keep thinking too. So I've only candled them twice now, but I feel like there wasn't that big of a difference. I can't like one person online was drawing lines on the egg to show where the air cell like sac was. I can't do that. I can't figure out where the air cell sac is. So I don't know if it's just that my shells are so dark.
Yeah.
I can't see through them well enough to like get the idea. But I compared them to like, one of my non-fertile chicken eggs and like there's a clear difference between them. So I was like, all right, well, these were at least fertile at some point and did something. But I was so close to breaking one open yesterday just to like double check. And then I was like, no, because if I do that and it turns out that there was like really a chicken there, I'm going to feel super
Yeah,
guilty.
you are. Don't
So
do
I
it.
think yeah, I need to wait out the full 21 days. But like the impatient person in me is like, well, if these aren't good, like we should just check these and start over. Because now, like that saves me back 7 days.
Right. No, like I think I said before, my husband accidentally dropped one when we were candling and it was developing. And it's just really traumatic to see. Like, obviously, I wanted to look just for like the sake of science.
Yeah.
And it felt like if I didn't look, then it would be totally wasted. So, just to kind of educate myself, I did look at it. And it is really crazy, like how quickly they go from just a little fertilized dot to an animal. Like it's crazy. So I find too with the darker shell eggs, it's just harder to tell. Like I feel like with the duck eggs we had because they were like a really lighter blue green color and white, it's just so much easier to see. But like brown eggs, they're just tough, especially if you've never hatched before and you kind of know what you're looking at but haven't done it too often.
Yeah.
It's just a learning curve. But don't give up.
I'm gonna feel so guilty for mostly for Aurora's sake. She's been like turning them and checking the checks off. And
Yeah.
by the way, so I gave her that checklist, and I thought that, I mean, that checklist is still a good idea. I still really love the checklist. But she was under the impression that if she checked off days sooner, they would hatch sooner.
Aw.
Like last Tuesday was day 7. I had candled them and, and they were clearly developing at that point. So, like, I wrote in my notes, like, oh, they're all developing. And then I'm looking at the sheet again and I'm like, oh, it's day 14. I'm like, we better candle again. So I pull them out and I'm looking at them and I'm like, there's no way these eggs are day 14. Like, they're just not, like, it's not big enough. This can't be right. And I'm like, oh, I'm like, we killed them all. Like, we totally made a big mistake. And then I look at the sheet. I'm like, yeah, it's day 14. I'm looking at the eggs. And then I'm like, wait, it's Friday. There's no way 7 days went by in the span of 3 days. So I'm like, Aurora, did you check off more than just the days you were supposed to? I'm like, oh,
Oh, that's cute. It's like Christmas. You just want it to hurry up and get there.
yes, yep. But our real day 14 is today, and I haven't candled them yet today, but I keep kind of sneaking peeks at them because I just can't help it.
Oh.
I'm like chewing my fingernails.
No, I
We'll
understand
see.
that. Yeah. It's like it doesn't that feeling doesn't go away. At least it hasn't for me. No.
It doesn't, oh,
Just like hurry
man.
up.
But even if for some reason they don't all hatch, or I'm not expecting all of them to hatch, but even if for some reason like none hatch, I still think that the experience is really neat.
Oh yeah.
And I'm hoping we'll get to do this like a couple of times. Like I was talking to some friends and they want some
Oh.
chicks and I was like, "Oh, I'll hatch some eggs for you so that you can have the chicks." Like I just want to hatch the eggs. I don't want any more chickens, but I'll hatch the eggs and give them to you. And then if you end up with a bunch of roosters, just give them back to me and I'll bring them back to you rotisserie. So we'll be all
Yeah.
good.
It'll all work out.
But they're fun though. They live in town, so they can't have any roosters.
Oh.
Although I say town, our town doesn't have any laws against that. It's just rude to have a rooster in town.
Well, they could always try one of those like no crow collars you can get from My Pet Chicken too.
Oh, do those work? Have you ever used one of those?
I I've heard people like use them and have good results and it doesn't seem to bother them. Like I think there's still a little bit of sound that comes out and like I probably shouldn't be telling people to try something that I haven't tried myself, but I might have to just experiment to see because good Lord, we have too many roosters right now and they're just all damn day long. I'm like on conference calls and I'm like, I'm sorry about the background noise. My roosters are just crazy.
They're singing you a song.
Yes, they're singing you the song of their people. You are welcome. Oh.
So how are your duck eggs doing?
So we had one duckling hatch today, which is super exciting because I started out with, well, okay, let me back up a little bit. So I did something stupid and I didn't realize when I ordered the call duck eggs and the Muscovy duck eggs that there was such a difference in hatch dates. And we only have one incubator. So I'm hoping that the higher humidity isn't killing my Muscovies or making them like super deformed.
Oh, yeah.
But we'll find out, I guess. And I think those hatch in like a week. Yeah, those should hatch in like a week, allegedly. We'll see. But we had one call duck egg hatch today. It pipped last night. I was getting a little concerned because yesterday was day 27 and everybody's like, oh, day 26 they hatch. But apparently it can be anywhere between like 26 and 30 from what I've been reading in my further research. Most of them will do that 26 to 28 day sweet spot. But I candled them yesterday and I saw that the duck had made the little duckling that hatched today made an internal pip, which I didn't even know what I was looking for. But it's very clear that they like break into the air sac area, and then when you candle it, it looks like shadow puppets. Like you can just see the little beak, and I'm like, oh my God, it's
Oh,
so
okay.
cute. And then, like 12 hours later, it did an external pip, and then I went to bed and woke up, and it was almost just like a little dent in the egg. And I had read that call ducks have a really hard time with hatching in general because they're so small and their beaks are so small. So I decided to like pull the egg out and just like take some of the shell off so it was an actual like hole instead of just like a dent. So I did that for him this morning and then just like sprayed the
Yeah.
eggs down a little bit to bring the humidity back up and to make sure like him being out for a little bit didn't cause it to dry out because that's not good either. So I shut it, and then that was at like 8 a.m. this morning, and he was out by 1:30, I think.
Wow.
So I don't know it's a he either, but
You're just calling him he. Yeah.
he's the only one that's hatched so far, so I've been calling him Han Solo.
Oh, I love that.
You're just solo. But yeah, so one of the ones out in the chicken coop, I was candling that today, and that one also has an internal pip. And I was like, I think I'm gonna go put this inside the incubator because I wasn't convinced that the humidity was enough out in the coop.
Yeah.
And that hen keeps getting up too. So I'm like, if you ruin this for me,
Yeah,
and
right.
Solo doesn't have a friend. um, so that one I'm hoping will pip soon. And then the other three in the incubator are just so questionable at this point. I'm not really sure if they're going to do anything, but I'm really hoping that we at least get one more. Otherwise, I'm going to have to go find call ducklings somewhere because they get really sad if they're alone, like more so than chicks
Yeah.
do. So, or I'm just going to have to go to the store and buy like a regular duckling, but they'll be so much bigger than him that I don't know if it'll go over well. So we'll see. But
Will they play with other chicks? Like, will chicks be a buddy for them,
I
or does
don't
it have to be another call
I
duckling?
feel like the chicks that I have are bullies, though. Like, I would have to go get
Oh,
new
yeah.
chicks, which, I'm not really into
Oh
raising. Yeah, I
no,
know.
new
Darn. Oh,
chicks.
darn. Especially since the new feed store that I like, they have Barnevelders coming in this weekend. And I'm like, ooh, I might have to go grab one or
Mm,
two. And they have some other cool stuff coming in. But I don't want. I know some people say you can raise ducks and chicks together and it's fine. Ducklings are so messy, though. I just don't want the chicks getting messy too. Um, so I prefer to keep them all
yeah.
separated. That's just a personal choice. But yeah, we'll see what happens. I might have to throw a little stuffed animal in there. He's still in the incubator getting fluffed out, but he keeps like curling up against the other eggs. And I think he's a lonely little duck. And I'm like, oh, but I've seen people put
Oh,
like stuffed animals in, so we'll
yeah.
just have to like see what happens
Yeah.
the next couple days.
I'm crossing my fingers that one of his little friends hatches soon. But if it can be anywhere between like, that big span, like I would totally let it stay
Oh
running for
yeah.
several days after. And that's what I plan to do with our chicken eggs too. Like if they don't start hatching or pipping on Sunday, I'm gonna wait Monday, check them again, Tuesday, check them again. I think 25 days will be the
Oh
max that
yeah.
I give them. But yeah, I have read that like if the temperature was fluctuating at all, like say it dropped down, like to 99.3 while you were sleeping for 12 hours, like that can affect how long it takes for them to finish hatching. Like,
Mhm.
they got to catch back up. So,
Yeah.
because that wasn't cold enough to kill them, but it was cool enough that it just sort of delayed their hatching just a little bit or their development just a little bit.
Yeah. We'll see. I still have hope, and I'm really hoping I didn't screw up my Muscovy hatch either. We'll find out. But hey, it's the farming thing of sometimes you make stupid mistakes and you just have to forgive yourself and learn from it. Like Sam needs another incubator. Sam needs a
Yeah.
hatching incubator. So,
Ooh, is that like a big one?
um, it honestly can be like any kind of incubator. It's just for ducklings because the humidity is so much more dramatic and because that can breed more bacteria. They really recommend that you like have them in the incubator for however many days before lockdown, and then you move them to a different clean incubator that with the higher
Oh,
humidity.
that's
Yeah,
right. I remember
which
we
just seems
talked about
crazy,
that.
but now I
Yeah.
kind of get it. Especially if you put cull ducks
Yeah.
in with Muscovy ducks and the hatch days are like a week and a half apart. Ugh, this is why I have to drink because I make silly decisions.
Well, you just gotta jump in there and do it
Yeah.
sometimes. Like, I think
Yeah.
that's the best way to be. Otherwise, you're just like chewing on your fingernails all the time. I'm a naturally like nervous and worrying person, which I know sounds super weird because I'm usually very like go with the flow, but I'm finding that as I age, I think more. And when I think more, I get nervous more. So I just gotta like, I'm like, nope, not gonna think about it, just gonna do it. All these ducks
Exactly.
sound good.
Yep. Just do it. Nike was onto something when they said that.
Yeah, Nike was onto something. We did like a big clean on the coop today. And I've been telling you about how I've been having trouble with my chickens. Like there's something just not quite right with them, and I can't figure out what it is. I dusted them, for the lice and whatnot, and everybody looks to be healthy, but they just look like
Uh,
disheveled. I don't know how else to describe it. Probably because they're all missing like a ton of feathers because probably from the lice picking. And I do think I have like at least one mean hen in there because I saw her pecking
oh.
at one today because I was outside. I was outside doing yard work all day today because I took the day off just to do yard work. That's how much yard work I have. But I was looking at him and I was like, I have the day off. I'm going to go ahead and clean their coop out. It's not really due for it, but I'm going to clean it. And while I was cleaning it, I discovered that their water bucket, something must have happened and it had leaked at some point. I don't know when
Oh.
it leaked, but it leaked. And the whole floor on like a quarter of the coop underneath all the litter was soaked all the way through. Like the wood was soaked, the bedding underneath it was soaked. Like that could not have been good, like for their health or
Yeah.
anything else. Like I'm sure that was like making everybody feel like kind of icky. And I had noticed that the humidity was really high, but it's been hot here and in southern Ohio when the temperature's high, the humidity is just high. That's just the way that it is here. So I hadn't thought anything of it, but I was like, ooh, dang, like I got to do something about that. So my husband and I rigged their water dish outside now. So it is officially in the run. And
Oh.
their coop is drying out right now. They only have a little bit of litter in there, like underneath the roost bars, because I told my husband, I was like, we will not be able to scrape that poop off of the wooden floor if we don't put something under there where they roost. So we put a little something, but I'm hoping that it finishes drying out tomorrow so that I can finish refilling their coop and everybody starts feeling a little better so it's not so wet and gross in there. Because, like, that's how coccidiosis grows. Like, 85% humidity, 80 degrees, like
Yeah.
wet, dirty, nasty litter. I'm like, ugh. Like, I can't believe I didn't notice this, but they hid it because they kept kicking more fresh litter on top of it, so I hadn't
They were trying
noticed.
to clean house. It's like the equivalent of a kid, like,
They were.
cleaning their room but hiding shit under their bed. That's what your chickens were doing.
They're like, we don't like this. We're gonna kick straw on top of it. That'll take
Exactly.
care of that.
Exactly. So, speaking of sneakiness, I think my bunny Vino is knocked up again.
What?
Yeah, so okay, so you know how I kept one of the bunnies from the last litter?
Yeah.
Well, I was pretty certain it was a girl, but it might be a boy. I was confused because, well, Vino kept humping that other bunny. She kept humping Coco, and they do like a dominance thing like that, so it's kind of normal. And at first, my
Yeah.
husband's
I
like,
think all animals do that.
"Yeah." I mean, I guess it would make sense. Yeah. So I was just, at first, my husband's like, "Are you sure you gave me the right animal to go sell?" And I was like, "Yes, that's Vino. I double checked her markings from pictures like before she gave birth. Like, I know it's
Oh,
her."
that was a good idea.
Yeah, her fur quality was a little different too, so I could just tell. But this other one, like I'm just declaring it right now. Sam is really bad at sexing rabbits. Like it is so hard to do.
Well, their little rabbit parts are so tiny,
Yeah, and you
right?
like have to like push on it a little bit, and it's either like like a little circle or like a little slit.
Oh,
And it's incredibly hard to tell if it's like an untrained eye. It's kind of like I don't know. It's like anything else. Like if you don't practice, you don't know. Well, now I feel like I probably know that Coco is in fact a boy, which is fine, but Coco's been living with his mom.
oh no.
So I'm pretty sure Coco knocked up Vino, which also is fine, like
I was just gonna say, what's
in the
the
world
rules
of
in that?
breeding.
Yeah, I mean, I know every creature's different.
So it's the same as chickens. So you can breed like father to daughter and son to mom, but you can't breed brother sister.
Oh, I didn't know that's
So
how
it's
chickens are also.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't think you're supposed to breed brother sister to chickens either. Like it's probably fine, but I don't
I
know.
mean, chickens are kind
I
of
haven't
weird
tried that
anyways. I
one.
mean,
Yeah. But with they call it breeding back, so you can do like the father daughter son mom thing. It's a little weird, but it's fine in the rabbit world. So as far as that goes, it would be fine. But I put some more Timothy hay in their enclosure today, and I noticed she was kind of looked like she was building a nest. And then when I like went to pet her, she makes these little like adorable growling noises. And she only did that before when she was pregnant. So either she's having like a false pregnancy, like it's a pattern, like maybe she wants to have babies again.
Oh,
But if she starts pulling fur out of herself, then I really know, shoot, here we go again. I gotta build
yeah,
that,
right. But that's good to know that you can breed back with the
yeah.
rabbits. So that is a relief.
Yes.
I'm currently trying to figure out what to do about the goats because like Mini Coop obviously still isn't fixed.
Yeah.
And I was keeping him in a crate in
Aw.
there, which was awful for everybody. It was awful for him, it was awful for the girls. It was awful for me because I hated hearing him cry like that. And I tried taking him out and like just having him spend the day with me outside, but he didn't like that either. He's like, no, I want to be back like with my herd and my goats. So I took him to the feed store that day because the guy at the feed store has been like super helpful to me. And I was like, hey, can you like help me band him when he's ready? And he's like, "Oh yeah, I'll be totally happy to do that.
Aw.
I'll show you how to do it." He's like, "If you just want me to do it, I'll do it." He's like, "But I'm happy to teach you how to do it so that you'll know how to do it in the future." I'm like, "Yeah, I totally want to learn." I'm like, "But like I know it's really early and I know that we're supposed to wait like as long as possible, but like keeping him separated is just not working for anybody. Like is can he be banded?" And he's like, it's like because he's the runt. He's like, normally I would say, yeah, we'd go ahead and do it. He said, but because he was the runt and he was only 1.5 pounds when he was born, he
Yeah.
said we should probably wait a few more weeks just to make sure that everything is big enough. But he's like, because he was the runt, it's not likely that anything he does is even viable anyways. So he's like, he'll be humping on the girls because that's just what animals do. But he's like, nothing's going to come out. He's like, and even if by some chance it did come out, he's like, the likelihood of it is so small because the
Yeah.
Joes are so young too. Because it's not like a mom is in there. So it's like, if that happens, like, yeah, it'll be really terrible and we'll have to figure out what to do. He's like, but the likelihood is so small. He's like, I wouldn't stress yourself out for 4 weeks like this. Like,
Aw. Well, that's good.
okay. I'm like, well, I was like, I'll keep an eye on everybody and like see how everyone's doing because I spend an awful lot of time out there. That's the perks of working from home all the time. So I'll know like if they're like doing the deed like for real. So far it's just been like mostly headbutting and a little bit of humping because I did keep having to like kick him off of the girls the other day and I was like, "Ugh." Like, see, I do have to keep you separated. But he's like, no, he's like he'll do that for like a day and then he'll forget about it. And he won't do it for a month and then he'll start doing it again. It's like that's just what they do. I'm like, okay, good. I'm glad that I'm talking to somebody that's like raised a billion
Yes.
goats.
A billion.
Because I'm like helicopter goat mom over
Aw.
here, like, oh, like you can't, like I can't do anything wrong. I'm gonna make mistakes. Things are
Yeah.
gonna go wrong.
Yeah. That's like Biscuit. Yeah, he and Maya, he's 2 weeks behind Maya. But he was like a little humping machine. And then once he hit like 14 weeks, I was like, okay, time for you to go to the
Yeah.
vet. But we didn't band him. She just like took him in the back and like I think sliced down the middle and pulled something out maybe. I'm not exactly sure what she did, but we didn't band him. This was like much quicker. So,
Oh, okay.
and it was like a vet visit charge, so it was only like 46 bucks.
Oh,
And
that's
I
not
didn't have to
bad.
watch him shrivel up and fall off. So,
That's a
that was
bonus.
okay. I think that route's probably okay, like if you only have one or two to do. But if you like have a ton of goats, then obviously banding's the way to go. And learning how to do it yourself is really important because then it's just so much cheaper if you're gonna go that route.
Yeah, and I keep forgetting to like, I mean, I think I've described it several times. I'm probably not as rural as like I feel like I am in my head.
Mm.
I'm rural compared to where I used to live. And I think where a lot of people live, like I have, like a 30-minute drive to the vet,
Oh wow.
which doesn't sound like that big of a deal, but like, like in a real emergency or like, when you need to do things, like
Yeah.
that's a long time. That like takes a big chunk out of the day. Just like I have a 30-minute drive to the grocery store. I have a 30-minute drive to the dentist. I have a 40-minute drive if I want to go to Walmart. Like
I don't know. I feel like that's pretty rural because, like, for me, I'm like 5 minutes from Walmart, and then I am 5 minutes from my one of my vets. Like,
and I'm not even really that far from everything. Like one town that we go to often. We don't go to it quite as often since the accident because I don't really care for driving up that road anymore. But that's only like 15 miles, and that
okay.
takes about 20 or 25 minutes. And that's our closest, but it's like the grocery store there is junky. All of the produce is like wrapped in plastic, so it's not even like it's not a real grocery store. Not in my perspective. It's not a real grocery store. So I always drive like into town to go do stuff like that. And even that's only 18 or 20 miles. But because we're in a valley, so everything is
Uh,
like windy, graded country roads to like get out of here. There's no freeways anywhere near us. Like when I have to get on a freeway now, it's a really big deal. And it takes a really long time for me to get to the nearest freeway. I'm like, why is everybody driving so fast around me?
yeah, I am like 5 minutes. Yeah, I'm like 5 minutes from the expressway, but I could take it to work, but I think it's 5 minutes faster to take it to work compared to like the back way, which is far less
Yeah, I'd go
stressful.
the less stressful way.
Like there are less maniacs. See, yes, my husband doesn't get it. He's like, I don't understand why you don't get on 96. And I'm like, well, every time I go over the little bridge over the expressway, there are like a shit ton of people, and sometimes they're just sitting there,
Yeah.
and there's no reason for them to just be sitting there. So I would rather go a little slower, but not have to stop and sit and be frustrated
Yep.
than just sit on the expressway.
Yeah,
I'm
I
good.
totally agree with that.
And people
Yeah,
are
I've discovered
psychos
now
on the
I'm
expressway.
like the old lady when I'm on the freeway. And I'm going like 5 miles an hour over the speed limit. The speed limit's 75. I'm going 80.
Ooh, look at you.
People are still flying around me. And I'm like, ugh. I'm like, clearly I'm just not as cool as all these people
Or maybe
anymore.
you just value your life and don't want to get pulled over. There's
Yes,
that too.
that's a possibility too. Yeah, no, I really dislike getting
Ugh.
pulled over. That like always wakes up like my anxiety because I'm like, what's gonna happen? Like, what if I say something wrong? What if I do something wrong? I know he has no reason to arrest me, but he still can arrest me. No, yeah, that's not something I enjoy doing.
I've never been pulled over, so
In your entire life?
nope. Well, I've been in the car
What?
before when other people have been pulled over, and I have a very traumatic story that I will share one day, but not today. But I have never been pulled over while driving. Nope.
Wow.
A little rule
I've been pulled
follower.
over a lot.
Well, you're clearly just a rule breaker then, so.
I know, right? Oh man, when I was in high school, I got pulled over all the time because I grew up in a really rural place also. I grew up in Joshua Tree, California, which is like it's the middle of the desert, like in the middle of nowhere, and I lived 20 minutes from my school, so I had to drive on the
Oh.
highway. It wasn't a freeway, it was a highway, but I drove on it like it was a freeway. So I got pulled over on it a lot because like this. I think the speed limit was 60 or 65, and I would always go
Oh,
75 and 80
yeah.
because I was like 17 and I was
There you
invincible.
go.
So I had lots and lots of speeding tickets and very expensive insurance for a very long time. But not anymore. I haven't been pulled over,
Good.
knock on wood, in a really, really, really long time. I can't even remember when the last time I got pulled over was. I'm a relatively safe driver. I'm a mom driver.
Yeah. Well, apparently now grandma driver on the expressway. So,
Yeah, yeah, now I'm a grandma driver. According to Columbus and Dayton traffic, I'm a grandma driver, but I still think I'm doing all right. But there's only like two sheriffs in our county or
oh
something like
wow.
that. So I don't know. The likelihood of getting pulled over around here is like not very good.
Yeah.
And I know where he hangs out whenever I'm driving back home from Chillicothe late at night, so I know exactly where I'm going to see him at.
Oh.
But it doesn't matter because I always set the cruise control for just 5 miles an hour over because
Yeah,
it's a
me
country
too.
road. So it's like five is good. I'm sure that he can still pull me over, but
Yeah,
I
if he
don't have
was
anything to
bored.
hide either. So
Yeah. That makes a difference.
it certainly does. The joys of being a registered and insured driver. So we
So,
have some homework that we
yes.
have to follow up on, right?
Yes, we do. Yeah, we assigned episode, I don't know what episode number it was, but we assigned the Big Bird episode of Rotten,
Yes,
correct?
that is correct. And I don't know what episode number it
Okay.
was either. I don't know if they necessarily numbered them. Um, but yeah, I did have one question though. I wanted to know why Big Bird wasn't called Birds, Guns, and Lawyers because it had just as much like food crime as bees did.
Yeah. Yeah, and Big Bird, like when you think Big Bird, you think happy yellow singing bird,
Yeah, and this episode
not.
was not happy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, this was very upsetting. This one upset me a lot.
It was. It was super upsetting. But one of the things about the episode was like what 80% of it was about that one crime
Yes.
that
Yes.
happens with the birds. So that was a little like I don't know. I don't know how to describe it. Like it was sort of like like a true crime
Yeah.
story of just like this one instance. And what was really crazy about it was that they were all like super sure that they had the right guy, that like got to walk away. But like their
Yeah.
evidence was super circumstantial. Like, I mean, anybody who watches any type of true crime stuff whatsoever would just be like, yeah, no, that's not evidence that you can actually arrest anybody on.
But
Like,
it's crazy that it's not.
well, like cell phone tower pings. Did you ever listen to Serial? That podcast
No.
Serial? You'll have to go listen to that. I really enjoyed listening to Serial. I still don't know whether or not I think Adnan Syed did it or not. I'm still on the fence about that. But they essentially like proved that cell phone tower pinging is not a reliable method of actually telling where anybody is
Boo.
at.
Boo.
Yeah, it's not admissible in court. Yeah.
Damn it.
But like I would hate if like my cell phone happened to like ping the wrong tower because I was like on one side of the county or another side of the county, and then I got accused of like doing this crime, even though I was like really over in this area. It just that tower I was near was overloaded, so it sent me to the next nearest tower that I was still within range in. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
but I feel like there was enough motive and other shady shit for this guy to like get in trouble.
see, and that's a possibility. Yeah, I mean, there was definitely motive. The guy definitely had the motive to do it. But it was really unfortunate that the chicken growers did not have some sort of like security
Right.
cameras like outside of their farms or outside of any of their grow houses. That seems a little crazy to me because security cameras aren't super expensive or terribly hard to set up. So,
No. No, we have quite a few on our property. It like came with the house. We don't I mean, I know how to use it, but it's just kind of like what
you're
the
like, whoa,
hell?
like, were you guys like terrified of like all the neighbors? Is there something we don't
Yeah.
know about this place?
Exactly. And like there's our ADT system and cameras, like we are ready to bust somebody's
Yeah,
ass if we
right.
need to.
Well, and we bought a few for here because we didn't live here for, like 6 months that we owned the house. So we had just a
Oh.
couple, we had internet put in and we had just a couple like on the driveway and a couple other places just so that we could see like if anything happened. We got to watch some super cool
Oh.
storms roll in. We watched lots of deer, the mail person dropping off the mail, stuff like that.
Oh yeah, that's exciting. Stalking your mailman.
But yeah, we just like went off on a security camera tangent. But I can't remember when that crime
Yeah,
even happened. So maybe it was like so long ago that cameras like weren't really a thing.
we're being like very like what's the word I'm looking for? We're like beating around the bush about the crime. We keep referencing the crime but not saying the crime. But basically what
Oh yeah.
happened was like somebody came and like shut off the ventilation to these massive meat bird houses and it like suffocated all the chickens to death. And they never were able to like pin down exactly who did it or like arrest somebody and try them and charge them and blah blah blah, put them through our justice
Yeah.
system, but they had an idea of who it was because this one dude was like jealous AF about these guys and he was just butthurt about not. I can't remember what was it. Why wasn't he chicken farming anymore?
Because the chicken company had decided that he wasn't keeping the birds to like the standards that
Oh,
the
that's
chicken
why.
company had set. Yeah, I mean, which like totally blows my mind because the standards that the chicken company had set was like this was like a super low bar.
Yeah,
So, like, if you couldn't reach that bar, like, yeah, no, you had no business, like, being a chicken grower. But yeah, I wasn't even all that interested in the crime. I felt terrible for all of the growers that that happened
yeah,
to. But I didn't feel like that was really, like, the most extraordinary part about, like, this whole thing.
right.
It was just, like, looking at how many chickens there were in each grow house, just like totally like turned my stomach. I can't imagine
Oh,
what that place smelled like,
yeah.
number one. But also, like, even though the chickens were kept in that condition, like, their growers really loved and cared about the chicken. Like, Sonny, the one dude that they interviewed, like, he was like crying
Oh, yeah.
about his chickens that had died. And he, like,
Right.
he's a guy that like really cares about what he does. So he really is like doing it like to the best of his ability and what the company will allow him to do and still buy his chickens. And I found that to be like just really
Yeah.
sad.
Like he just really loved it. He loved his chickens and he gave them the best life that he could in the conditions that they were raised in. But I mean, honestly, like maybe it was just the shots that they picked, but for how crowded it was in there, like it did look as clean as it could possibly be for how many chickens were in
Yeah,
there.
and the chickens did look relatively healthy. I will give them that. I
Yes.
mean, it might have just been the shots that they picked, but I don't know.
What really got me was like how much they make per chicken.
It's so sad. Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know if it was like 36 cents per chicken or
Yeah.
36 cents per pound, but compared to what I would pay at the store, it's freaking ridiculous.
I'm
Like
pretty
how
sure
little they
that it
get
was
paid.
30 something cents per chicken.
Which,
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure most of our listeners have chickens, and if you've ever had meat chickens, those things can like go to town on some feed. Shit is expensive. Like I don't even understand like how that is profitable. And then the way it's set up for how they get paid too and how they get bonuses and it's like
And they
they
have to
pit each
compete with
other.
each other. Yeah.
Yeah, that's not right either. It should just be like, all right, well, you're all doing really well and producing these really awesome chickens. Like, we're going to reward you so you keep doing that. Not, we're going to shit on you because you're not doing so well. And then, you potentially go out of business or you can't recover from something like that awful crime where they took out, tens of thousands of chickens. And then you can't recover because you're making pennies, per chicken. It's screwed up.
Yeah.
And this is what we
Ugh.
eat. Not everybody, obviously, because there's vegans and vegetarians and people that only buy organic
Oh,
but this
yeah.
is what the majority of America eats. Like, it's just encouraging that system to continue the way it is.
Yeah, and I liked how they did that small story on like the small grower and like how he raises his meat chickens. It's in a very similar setup to the way that like the backyard homesteader would raise their chickens.
Yeah.
It's a very similar system to the one that I'm going to use here when we get our meat chickens. But yeah, that is a very expensive way to raise chickens. And I haven't bought store-bought chicken. One of the perks of living in a rural place and not having the grocery store be so close is I've gotten pretty creative about where I've found our food at because I'm like, if I'm gonna drive, like,
Yeah.
might as well drive and buy it from somebody locally here. Like that just made sense to me. So I pay a ridiculous amount of money for our chickens. I want to say that they
Mm-hmm.
can range anywhere from like 14 to $20 a piece, but I buy them in bulk and I stick them in the deep freeze. So I usually buy like 10 or 20 of them at a time and just stack them in there. And then I pull them out and I thaw them as I need them, but we eat a lot less meat that way
Oh,
because
yeah.
I just don't throw it in everything. Like a baked chicken dish is just like something that we don't really eat around here very often. I have a couple of favorites that I really like to rotate in when I can, but because I have to buy our chickens whole, I don't normally make those because like I actually don't care for walking through the meat section at the grocery store. I think it smells bad. I've never been able to describe it, but like the meat section at the grocery store always grossed me out. But I do eat meat, but I try to eat like conscious meat. I don't know how else to describe it. I eat
No,
happy meat.
yeah. And like I literally just can't afford to like do
Yeah.
what
Oh,
you do.
yeah.
So I'm like, and we just mostly eat chicken breasts. Like I actually had a guy at work say, "Oh, if you raise meat chickens, can I just have the chicken breasts?" And it's like, no, that's not how it works." Like,
Yeah, no, it's so much harder than that. Yeah.
so it's like now that it's funny now that I've watched these documentaries, I'm like, all right, I want to raise my own meat chickens. Like I realize raising them myself is more expensive in the long run, but if I know ahead of time,
It is even than buying it from the grocery store. That's the problem with our food system. We it has been made so cheaply
oh
that like
yeah,
raising your own food is not necessarily the cheaper way to go.
oh
When
no,
I raise my meat chickens, I'll let everybody know how much a pound it ended up being because I keep really careful track of like our expenses. I don't necessarily do this to save money per se, but I am curious because like if something is just ridiculous, like I'm not going to do it because I'm not just doing this for funsies. Like a lot of it's for funsies, but
right,
obviously butchering chickens is not for funsies for me, and I'm not really looking forward to the butchering
right,
part, but I think we're going to be okay, especially after watching this. I think watching this like really like renewed my resolve to like just
right.
suck it
I'll
up
probably
and do
just
it.
take ours to like the meat processor down the road because I think it's only like four
Oh, that's a
bucks a
good
chicken if
idea.
I just keep it as a whole chicken, and then if I want it like cut up into parts, like it's a little more, but it's really not that bad.
Yep.
And until I can get the hang of processing myself, like I just don't want to put that burden on myself until I'm comfortable. So I might like retain a couple to
Yeah.
practice on.
Or you
But
can always practice on one of
yeah,
those unruly roosters.
that's true. I
The next one that
could.
tries to spur you in the face.
Oh my
That's a
God.
practice rooster.
So
Yeah.
rude.
But
Yes.
what's crazy about that is like $4 per chicken just to process it. Have you ever been to the grocery store when they're selling whole fryer chickens for less than
Oh
$4?
yeah.
I mean,
Oh
all the
yeah.
time.
It's
Yeah.
crazy. But it's like I think it'll in my mind like if I can figure out like how much it's going to cost and just budget properly, I would feel better about that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, but when I'm like, all right, I have $100 for groceries this week, and I'm going in there, and I was like, all right, I can buy this many chicken breasts, and it'll last for X amount of time. But like, if I've already budgeted it out and it's in my freezer, like that's just it's gonna feel like I'm saving money because I'm not spending it when I go to the store.
Yeah, that's very true. I was gonna say I don't spend a whole lot of money at the grocery store. I spend a lot of money at all of the other small places that I go and pick up some things at. But I think I did do the math on that not that long ago. I haven't been doing it lately because I've just been like so stressed out with everything else going on. I'm just like, forget it. As long as everybody's eating, I'm happy for right now. And I'll like get back on track when I feel like I can take a breath. But yeah, I was staying within budget even with buying like stuff from the Amish. And I started a little savings account. It's a bulk meat savings account.
Ooh.
And I just put a little bit of money per paycheck in it. And then when it gets the right amount of money in it for like a whole hog or a 10 pack of chickens, I go in and I order it. And then I just stick it in the deep freeze and
Oh,
I've got it in
nice.
there. Yeah, that's how I've kind of set up like our budgeting system so that we can figure out how to do some of these things. We use Capital One 360. It used to be ING. You can set up like as many savings accounts as you want to.
Oh.
So I've got like 15 of them, and they're all for like something very specific. Like one of them is the vacation fund. One of them is the Christmas fund. I got tired of being stressed about how we were going to buy Christmas
Uh,
presents, and every paycheck, a little bit of money goes into the Christmas fund. And then come October and November, when it's time to start planning those things out, I write a budget for the whole family, and then I start buying
there you
things
go.
because it's based on how much money is going to be in there. Yeah. And I did all of that for our farming stuff too. Like I have a homestead fund, and it's for building the goat fence, buying the goats, building the garden beds, anything else that has to be done around here. And I just try to take whatever little bit I can, even if it's not a lot one month. I'm like, that's all right. I still stuck 10 bucks in there.
Yeah, it's something. It adds up.
Yeah, because it builds faster than you would think it does.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, like in a year, you're even if it's just 10 bucks a month, you're $120 closer to the goal than you thought you were going to be. Like,
Exactly.
so there's my budget tangent that I went off on during chicken.
Hey, I feel like that is like the only tangent we've really gone on
Oh, I don't know about that.
since, in an hour. Well, the only one that deviated from us trying to write things down.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, fair enough. Good point.
Yeah.
We are. We're
Yeah.
staying on schedule. See, we're trying to make this a better
Yes.
podcast for you guys to listen to. I don't know if you like our crazy, like funky, disorganized style. If you do, let us know, because then we'll just go back to that. Because it's a lot less work.
Yeah, we'll care less about structure if you prefer that.
Right.
We aim to please.
We do aim to please. But what else about the chicken thing really struck me? Yeah, I mean, and I had no idea that so much of our meat came from other countries. I mean, like when you think of rural America, like it's cows and chickens and hogs. Like to think that so much meat, is imported into America from Brazil, that surprised me and blew my mind.
I didn't really know that either. Like that to me was a little baffling.
Like we raise so much of it here. It seems like it would be easiest just to eat the stuff that we raise here. But I don't know. I don't know that much about like, big giant
Exactly.
food manufacturing. I mean, the number of chickens that these growers send in for slaughter, every 9 weeks, it was like astronomical. It's insane that we go through that much chicken.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I was reading some blog about like somebody was like, "Hey, you can be self-sustainable. Just have one chicken a week." And I'm like, "Shoot. I think I probably eat like or for between me and my husband, and then if we have the kids, probably like two or three chickens a week. Like easily." It's
Yeah.
just such an easy meat to like cook and put something together with, and it's labeled as healthier for you than red meat. So I think that's why people lean that way with the chicken and even the turkey, because it's pushed on you as healthier and to stay away from the red meat and stay away from the pork. So I mean that increases the demand of chicken right there.
Right. Well, and it's easy to cook too. Like it's really hard to screw up chicken unless
Oh
you
yeah.
know, like full on burn it. But like
Right.
even
Or don't cook it all
somebody
the
or
way.
don't cook it all the way. Yeah, I mean that's a good way to screw up chicken. Don't you
Yeah.
always need to cook your chicken all the way through, like especially grocery
Yes.
store chicken. Oh my goodness. Um, but yeah, I mean even if cooking like isn't really your thing, I mean all you got to do is buy a sauce, like a stir fry sauce and some vegetables, and you can make like a killer dinner and in like 15 minutes. Chicken is just so easy. But one of the things that we do to cut down on the amount of meat we eat each week, because when you have it lined up in your deep freeze for so long, it becomes really obvious when like how much meat you're eating. Like this year was the first year that I ordered whole hogs. We went through an entire whole hog in an embarrassingly short amount of time. I'm like, why can't we eat baby back ribs every week? Oh, yeah, because pigs only have, you know, 2 racks of ribs apiece. And how many hogs do you have to slaughter to eat a rack of baby back
Uh,
ribs every week? Like, oh my goodness. Like you start thinking about things like that and it sort of blows your mind. But I bought a vegan cookbook that I really like. We are not vegan, obviously. But I do make a lot of vegan meals in between.
oh.
Sometimes I add cheese to them because they just taste better with cheese on them, and I'm not vegan.
Right. Right. So then it's like
But
vegetarian. It's
you'd be
fine.
surprised. Yes, then it's like vegetarian, yeah. But you'd be surprised like how much that saves on the grocery budget. And also, like it adds more vegetables and whatnot into your diet. I haven't been doing it as much lately because, like I said, I've been like a little stressed and a little stretched thin. So unfortunately, a lot of our food lately has just been coming out of the deep freeze and delivered by the Schwan man. But I did cook a real meal tonight and we recorded. So I'm patting myself on the back today. But I also didn't work
Oh,
today. So
well,
I'm like, I took the day off. The least I could do is cook a real meal for my family.
there you go.
But yeah, a couple vegan meals a week, save a couple dollars. I'll share the cookbook that I use with you. It's Mayim's vegan cookbook, the chick from The Big Bang Theory. She's vegan apparently. Yeah, and she wrote a
Oh.
cookbook and it's pretty good. I'm a big fan of her vegan tacos
Oh.
and the pitas that she makes out of chickpeas and dill. They're delicious.
Oh.
It's just like a couple cans of chickpeas and some dill, and you put them in a pita pocket with some sauce and vegetables. They're amazing. Yeah, so I'll share that in the show notes. So if anybody else wants to mix in a vegan meal or two to cut down on the amount of meat they buy, they can do that and feel good
Huh.
about it. But don't feel guilty if you can't afford to buy the happiest meat that you can. Because, like, even making small changes, like, can make all the difference in the world. I know sometimes we're, like, programmed to think that, well, I can't raise all my own chicken that I eat, so what's the point?
Right. It's like an all or nothing mentality.
All or nothing. Yeah. I don't have that. Like, I'm always like, oh, I've remembered my reusable straw this one time. I'm happy about that. I'm sorry that I forgot it
Right.
15 times in a row, but like that one, it matters.
Right.
It's
It's like a
important because
compounding
those add up over
effect.
time.
Just the
That's all I'm trying to
small
say.
changes over time. Yes.
It is. It's a compounding effect. So, did we get any listener farm stories this week?
Not that I can recall again.
Oh,
I mean, we did get some questions, but I'm gonna save, well, we got one question, but I'm gonna save that for next time because I think it is one that we could definitely go on tangent about.
okay. All right. We'll save it for next time. Yeah, because I guess we are pretty far into this. So, yeah, we'll save that for next time. So, I'll tell you my small farm story. So I told
Okay.
you that I took today off to
Yes.
do some yard work. I did on Friday too, so I've had like a 4-day weekend.
Ooh.
So I'm feeling really good, and I didn't even check my like email or anything. So I'm not looking forward to what I'm coming back to tomorrow, but that's okay because I feel really good not sitting at my computer for 4 days in a row. I have some stuff to catch up on even for a drinking farm, but that's all right. I'll get on that. But anyways, we were mulching on Friday because we have this giant yard and all of the trees and things need to be mulched. And my husband kept saying that it was going to rain. And I'm like, looking up, I'm like, it is not going to rain. Like, what are you talking about? You are nuts. And then it like started blowing in. I was like, all right, Orion, I need you to go put the chickens away for me because it's gonna rain and it looks like it's gonna be pretty bad. So we'd like them to like be in their run when that happens so they can get in the coop. And he's like, "Oh yeah, no problem." And he runs over and he does it. And we continue to mulch. I'm like, "It's all right, honey. I don't mind mulching in a little rain." And he looks up and he's like, "This is not a little rain." And it just like came down and started pouring
Oh
on us.
no.
It was like a deluge. Like there was like mulch washing out of the back of the truck. That's how fast like this rain was pouring down. We're running like to get underneath the porch and we look out. Every single one of our chickens is outside of the run, freaking out, trying to figure out how to get back into their run and their coop. They're all soaking wet. They're all on the wrong side where the door is not open. And we're like, "Oh my gosh, Ryan, we told you to put the chickens away." And he's like, "I did. I threw the snacks in there and they ran in there and I closed the door." I was like, "But you forgot to close their run door." So they
Oh.
just exited the coop and came out the run. Like they probably just like followed him
Oh.
out. So we had to run out there in the rain, grabbing chickens one by one and putting them back in to the run so that they'd run into their coop. I thought I'd give them the choice. I mean, like if they really wanted to be out in the rain, they could, but I couldn't have them out like just running loose in the yard while the
Yeah.
rain was coming down that far. And we were so soaked. Like my jeans were like sticking to
Oh.
me. It was so bad. That's how much rain fell. And then it was gone in like 20
Of
minutes.
course.
So I guess I could have just left them out there, but man, watching those chickens jump up and down while the rain was hitting them
Oh.
was kind of hilarious and a little sad.
Oh, that's too cute.
So that's my weekend farm story. And that's my farm kid farm story. So if you got a farm kid farm story to share with us, that would be even more fun since this weekend
Yes.
is Mother's Day weekend.
Yes. And okay, so I get that like Mother's Day is for mothers that have pushed humans out of their area, but as a I talk about that a lot because I am a stepmom that has
We
not
talk
pushed
about that a
anything
lot.
out of that area. And I feel like stepmoms and fur baby moms and feather baby moms are severely underrepresented.
Oh,
So,
see, I would still tell you Happy Mother's Day
thank you.
on Mother's Day. And in fact, what I meant to say was so by farm kid stories, I mean like all farm kid stories, like your niece and nephews.
Yeah.
Like I was curious to hear about other people's like funny things that little people did on their farm. I guess I told two little people stories this week.
Oh,
You can
yeah.
tell Mother's Day is coming up
Yeah.
this week.
No, it's perfect. It's perfect.
Both of my little people were weird this week on the farm.
Sometimes that works out. I feel like in the beginning episodes I talked about my stepkids way more, but we had a couple of like weekends where are technically like quote unquote our weekends. Like as they're getting older, they have like friends and birthday parties, so sometimes our weekends get skipped and it doesn't get traded, so it's
Yeah.
like we only see them once a month, which is just a whole different battle in and of itself
Yeah.
because it's like, you get them in the routine here. And then when it's every other week, it's really good. But when it goes to once a month, then it's out of routine and then it's just super crazy. So that's why I haven't mentioned them.
Yeah.
I haven't eaten them. I'm not an evil stepmother or anything like that.
No, I didn't imagine you were an evil stepmother.
I try really hard not to be. I
Being a
just,
stepmom is hard. I
oh
mean,
yeah. Yes, it is very challenging.
I'm not a
Yeah.
stepmom, but I have stepmoms, and
Oh.
I am very sad for how terrible I was when I was in high school. Because when you're in high school, you're just not an adult and your brain doesn't work like an
Oh yeah.
adult. And sometimes you can be a real jerk.
That's to anybody though. That's not even necessarily stepmom. It's just stepmom just sounds
It does.
sad.
Yeah. They didn't make it
It
a
has
friendly word, did they?
no, they made it's got a lot of negative connotations to it too, and then but
Well,
at the
and why
same
is the
time, a lot of
stepmom always
expectation.
evil?
Well, it's
Like
always
in Disney
evil,
movies?
And then they're like, you must love those children like they're your own, like you pushed them out of your body. And it's like, well, first of all, I didn't push them out of my body. I didn't get to see them when they were adorable and couldn't talk and just needed another human to take care of them all the time. It's like, it is different. I do love them, but would I love them like my own? I don't know because I don't have any of my own. So when you don't have anything to compare it to, it's a little
Well,
tricky.
and it comes with different challenges too. Like, I think being a step parent is really hard. My husband is a stepdad to Orion. So like we have
Yeah.
challenges with that all the time. Thankfully, he doesn't yell things like "You're not my dad" because that would be
Not yet,
sad.
anyways. Well, he's
Yeah,
older
not
though,
yet,
so maybe
anyways.
it wouldn't be bad. I've been
He
told you're
is.
not my mom before, which is just like, and it's really
Oh
hard not to
yeah.
quit back and react and say thank God or something really equally as nasty because they don't know what it, yeah, and they don't know what they're saying actually. So,
Right, yeah, because you're the adult, so yeah. Yeah, no. And they're gonna feel terrible about that someday. Trust me, because
aw,
that was me.
oh, that's so
I
nice
feel
though.
terrible about those things. I love my stepmom. She
That's
loves me
good. I'm
too.
glad you don't hate her. Or maybe you do secretly kind of do, but maybe she listens to the podcast. I don't know. Kidding. I'm kidding.
I don't think any of my parents listen to this podcast, and if they did, they stopped after we said cock so many times last episode.
They're like, that girl that you do the podcast with, she's got such a potty mouth. I can't even listen to her. Just spend it
Right.
on me.
So are we assigning homework next week?
Yeah, we might as well keep going on the rotten train.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
like it. Yeah, I mean, I've enjoyed them more than I thought I would.
Yes.
They're still pretty dramatic. The crime stories I find I find enlightening, but just a tad boring also. But I don't know. I think that's just because I don't know why I find them boring.
Well,
Maybe I'm just a jerk.
no. I feel like we need to watch the cow one next because I'm really interested to see what you think about the whole raw milk thing since you are a consumer of raw milk.
Yeah. Is this gonna make me not want to consume raw milk?
I
I'll
don't
still
know,
watch it.
but I feel like it's pretty balanced. It made me feel more confused about raw milk. So I want your opinion on it.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Maybe I can help clear some stuff up about it. Oh,
Yes.
awesome. So we'll get to hear about something that know a little bit about. Or at least I pretend like I know a little bit about. I mean, I drink it every week, so.
Right. My grandparents are like dairy farmers, but they like send it away in the to the milkman in the milkman truck.
Oh, yeah.
They're not like
Okay.
certified organic or anything like that. So
Oh,
they get
okay.
screwed super hard, which you learn about.
Yeah,
You will
oh.
see that in
Oh,
the
I'm sure.
documentary.
Yeah.
Yeah. Super
Yeah, I'm
sad.
not surprised by that at all. Well, I do follow a dairy, like a commercial dairy, on either Facebook or Instagram. I don't know who it is, and I wouldn't name names anyways. They were saying that they would never drink the milk that came out of
Huh.
their cows. And like my initial reaction to that, like without sending it off and having it pasteurized, like my initial reaction to that was like, what the hell are you doing to your cows that you don't trust their milk, like coming straight out of it?
Um,
Like that was my reaction to it. But that's also because, like, I'll explain where I get my milk from and whatnot next week. But yeah, I mean, I guess when you are milking out of a barn that has, like 180 cows or hundreds of cows in it, yeah, I probably wouldn't drink that either because, like, the stuff in the air, like, can't be good
oh,
getting into it, right? But I don't know how they milk in a commercial milker either. I guess I'm just gonna have to watch it. See, like, my milk gets milked, like, by hands in a bucket.
oh,
I don't think that's how they do it,
no,
like at a
no, no,
big
no,
dairy farm, is
no.
it?
You'll just have to watch and see.
Interesting. Okay. Well, thanks for listening to this episode of We Drink and We Farm Things. I'm Bev.
And I'm Sam, and you can find us over at Instagram at Drink and Farm, where we like to have you ask us questions and send us farm stories and all that fun stuff. And make sure you're using the hashtag Drink and Farm when you are drinking and farming using non-dangerous farming equipment, please and thank you. Um, so maybe we can start sharing some of those in our stories and on our feed if it's super fabulous.
Yes. And if you haven't checked out our Patreon yet, do that. I'll leave a link to it in the show notes. Because this episode's drinks were sponsored by a very generous Patreon supporter, and her name is Ashley Kiernan. So we have to say
Woo!
thank you and cheers to Ashley again, because it's just so exciting and it made us feel all warm and fuzzy, not just from the alcohol, but like
Yes,
warm and fuzzy in the
exactly.
heart.
It means a lot.
So we will talk to you next week.
Bye, guys.
Bye.